Word Balloon is brought to you by the League of Word Balloon Listeners. Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It's Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. I am happy to welcome a fellow podcaster, but an excellent artist. And I'm sorry that we're a week or so shy of Inktober. Would have been perfect for our conversation, Shawn Crystal. But it's great to see you, man. The man behind InkPulp, asshole that I am. InkPulp. Sorry, my man.
No,
but good to see you, Shawn. How are you, buddy?
You too. I'm doing well. That's quite the professional intro you've got there. I feel like I got to step up my game a bit.
Well, much like you, man. It looks like when the pandemic hit. How long have you been doing videos, Shawn? Maybe you've been doing it longer than I have.
No, it was the pandemic that caused it to happen. It hit. And I saw all conventions and travel go away, which is where I recorded my podcasts, because I would only do them in person. I was not for doing them over the internet, and I was like, oh shit, what's going to happen to my podcast now? And then Jason, my art dealer at Essential Sequential, had a stream, like a live art stream. He was trying to he called it Essentially Sequestered Con. So it was all the people in the crew, and I was on there. It was like me and Eric Canetti and Klaus Jansen and I think Cully, and we were riffing and jamming, and I was like, oh, this feels like a con, kind of. And we were taking commissions, and our commission lists were filling up, and it made me think back to when I started the podcast. One of the things that really got me interested in doing it was all the conversations I'd have behind the table during the day while we were drawing and on commissions and stuff. And I was like, maybe I need to rethink this. And I was working off of my phone. I was having all these technical problems. My Wi-Fi in my studio is not great. My computer is always hardwired in. And Eric sent me a webcam. And once I saw that and sort of saw the possibilities, I just started emailing artist friends, like, let's draw and talk about what's going on with this quarantine and this disease. And the next thing I know, I had season 9 in a matter of like 2 weeks up and running, and a YouTube channel. And so that probably went up April 1st at the latest, maybe March.
Well, that's why I noticed your audio feed seemed to stop in April.
Yeah.
And I understand. No, you see, now I'm doing both, because what I've noticed, and seriously, this is a great opportunity to talk shop with you.
Sure.
And as much about comics. And folks, obviously, Shawn has a great body of comics work, lots of great Marvel stuff, lots of great other publishers as well.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about new stuff as well. So if you have questions about Shawn's past work or future work, that's why we're here as well. But No, man, I understand. I mean, I switched to video, but I also keep doing the audio as well. Some people are camera shy; they don't want to come on, and that's
Right.
okay.
Right.
That's a small percentage of the creators
Yeah.
out there.
Luckily, my workaround is my camera is usually on hands that are drawing. There's not always FaceTime. But yeah. So go
Right.
ahead. I'm sorry. Keep
No,
going.
not at all, man. And so, but also, I've noticed that I've developed a different audience
Yeah.
as much as I have the audio audience. And I mean, there's definitely crossover, but there are people that tell me video's too clunky. I like to listen while I'm
Yeah.
working out, while I'm
Yeah.
working, while I'm driving, whatever, and doing housework, which I love, and that's why initially
Sure.
Word Balloon was always an audio product first and
Right.
foremost.
Right.
But I also know that there is this video audience. And thankfully, I've been doing it long enough and knowing people like yourself. I mean, Christ, we've known each other for well over 10 years.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean,
Yeah.
and that's the great thing, man. Is so no, it's and also like you were saying about, obviously doing your podcast at conventions, this is the closest we're gonna get to seeing each other.
For sure.
And that's great. I mean, honestly, it's like thank God we
Oh,
have this
yeah.
technology. I mean, dude, I'm in my 50s. I keep thinking, God, if the pandemic happened literally like in the 80s,
Oh,
how sad, how much more
Yeah.
sadder and lonelier we'd all be.
A lot. Yeah. No, I noticed that, not all those, like I do it through Zoom, and all the Zoom sessions I would have, whether I was recording or not, it was like I was hanging out with people, and it made me realize how much time I spend in my studio alone, just in my head. And I just never realized I could work and talk, and it was great. It was almost like a blessing in disguise in some ways that I was forced into it, and then these opportunities arose. But I haven't released just audio versions of it, and it's basically because we're drawing, and I don't know. Maybe I should. I feel like if we're talking about the piece we're working on, no one's going to have a point of reference. It's going to be not interesting.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. Yeah, I mean, if the nature of the conversation has changed to suit the video,
Yeah,
I can appreciate that. I won't deny I'm a one-trick pony, man. I do these things the way I always have.
Yeah.
Pardon me, I've got water. So, but have you already started releasing season 9? I mean, as you've been doing
season 9 came out like quick. Like I did while I was recording season 9, I was literally recording an episode one afternoon, releasing it the next morning. I didn't even have a schedule. I was just recording and releasing, and I called it season 9 of InkPulp Audio, The Quarantine Chronicles. And as I banked a whole mess of those, I started to think, all right, what's the future of this? Because it's not always going to be this quarantine thing. And that's when I realized I want to change the title. Like now I want a new beginning. It's a new show, and it's going to have a new beginning. And that season 9 gave me like groundwork to figure it out. So then I changed it to the InkPulp podcast.
Good.
And I think episode 33 comes out this week, and now it's weekly instead of monthly.
All right, so give me the guest list of who's been on lately.
Oh my God, I've had so many people. Well, one thing is what's spawned out of this is I'm working on a project with a rap group. I don't know. Do you listen to rap music, John?
I'm an old man. I won't deny it.
Well,
but tell me names and I'll still be impressed.
The Far Side, and okay. I'm doing a very awesome project with them, but they have their own like
community
podcast network.
Sure.
And streaming network. And so the minute we started working together, they had seen my show, and they asked if they could air my show as well. So
wow, that's great.
Yeah, it was great. So it's like a lot of things just kind of opened up and fell into place. So guest wise, I mean, I've had rap artists on, I've had comic book artists on, I've had tattoo artists on. I'm like the whole focus of the show now, it's very much ingrained in comics, hip hop music, and like life, which is what my podcast always was about.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm still interviewing creative people about this lifestyle, and now it's not just comic book artists. While it is that a lot, it's more than that. So I've talked to DJs and rappers, and a few rappers who are also artists. That was cool. But also another thing is Jim Mahfood's been on so much. He's kind of like a co-host.
Oh, that's great, man.
So whenever Jim wants to come on, he's on. So he's on the bulk of the episodes with me.
I talked to Jim in August about Neotext. That very interesting. Do you know about that? That
was Howard on that episode?
Howard was on that as well, absolutely, and a few other people.
Yeah,
and it was great having all these creators that are doing this and have this nice discussion between different people. Yeah. But I love Jim, and prior to that, the last time I saw him was one of my last conventions back in 2019, Rose City in Portland.
Right.
And I saw Jimmy there and everything. And Jim's awesome.
Yeah, he's great. So
that's fantastic, man.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, and then again, you're delving into these other arenas of art,
right?
And that's really cool. And also just getting people on, creative people. I mean, that's why I reach out to TV and movie people. Right. And I won't say it until it's confirmed. But there's one of my favorite '90s guitar players from one of my bands and stuff. I'm hoping to talk to him because he's a big comic book fan. And I'll tell everybody when it's confirmed.
Great, so, that's great. Yeah, this is. I've had that same experience on mine. It's been awesome.
Have you done any online conventions since this is broke?
I'm trying to remember. Kind of. I was asked to record an episode of my podcast specifically for Dragon Con.
Okay.
So me and Jeff DeCal just got on Zoom and recorded an episode talking about conventions. It was really, the whole episode was about conventions and our experience at Dragon Con the year before, but
that's great.
It was really good. We gave kind of like an artist, like a behind the table perspective of what a convention is like for us.
Understood. That's great, man.
It was cool.
That's great. I've been helping Mainframe Comic Con put on a couple of events.
Nice.
And we did one in August. That was our own event. And then Baltimore asked us to put on their show.
Nice.
So that was a lot of fun, and I put together a lot of creator to creator one-on-one interviews that I really thought hit what we were hoping for.
That's great.
And we also did we've become really good friends. I had been friends with Susan Eisenberg, animated Wonder Woman, for years.
Yeah.
And she's terrific. Awesome. And we started stunting with her and a lot of other voiceover actors. And in August, we had the entire Justice League cast.
Oh, that's amazing.
With Andrea Romano, the voice director, reading scenes from various episodes that Andrea kind of combined. And it was terrific. Everybody was there, including Clancy Brown, Lex Luthor, and Carl Lumley, the Martian Manhunter, who had a bad experience at a convention, I guess, years and years ago, and was kind of turned off by the whole thing. And thankfully, Susan and the cast are like, Carl, we're telling you, people love you, man, and they really miss you. And this is going to be from your home. And he's like, all right, I'll give it a shot. And he had a great time. Thank God. Thank God.
Things like that are like, I can get lost. So like I can fan out in moments like that because like especially on Zoom, like sometimes I look at my screen, I'm like, oh my God, I'm on camera with De La Soul. This is crazy.
I love De La Soul. See, there you go.
Okay, good. Okay.
No, but honestly, man, I am lucky that I spent 15 years in sports radio.
Right.
So it kind of knocked out I still get it. And I'll give you an example. When I talked to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar a couple of years ago, thank God it was only audio. Because I was smiling the whole time and just like, this is insane. I was so glad.
Awesome. Yeah,
it was incredible. But yeah, I can put it in the back of my head, the fanboy part, and just focus on doing a conversation.
Yeah.
But then again, I will say another table read that we did with voiceover actors, we had George Newbern, Superman from the Justice League cartoon, and Susan as Wonder Woman, and they read scenes from Kingdom Come.
Oh, wow.
And they were amazing. And it was fantastic because I took all the really dramatic scenes.
Yeah.
And it was like, no, this is how we got to do this. And it was fantastic. They burnt out Superman and the angriest and let's fight Wonder Woman, one of the most darkest portrayals of Diana. And it was so great to have Susan do it. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. And also Mark, we had Mark on to narrate.
That's awesome. Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah. It was by Mark Wade. Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's like beyond doing, and I love doing conversations like this. This is fantastic. But I also, for these events, we're really trying hard to create something beyond a Zoom conversation. And
Right.
also, I got to tell you, man, and I'll even like zoom in and zoom out. I really like our live use of this platform I'm on, StreamYard, because
Yeah.
as opposed to the pre-recorded ones that like cut, just square to square
Right.
and hard
Right.
edits and stuff.
Yeah.
I really like StreamYard where I can just push in and there you are and you're solo and everything. And then I can push out and it's all very, I think it's all very like dramatic. Like here, I'll even go from me to you. And it's this nice fade. If I can
Yeah.
be technical for a second,
Sure.
rather than that,
Right.
face.
Right.
And
Right.
like almost like literally like a regular still camera and
Right.
stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So
That's what Jason, my art dealer, uses. And I was trying to initially, I was going to be streaming, but I can't like moderate and draw at the same time. So that's why I don't. Zoom works and it's easy.
sure.
I like the idea of streaming live though. If you can, like when I do it with Jason, like he moderates, so he'll be like, Shawn, so and so wants to know how you just made that mark, and then we can show him. But if I don't like if I'm drawing, I just don't have that.
I'm
But
hip.
I
No,
like
I
that.
understand.
Like I think on in fact, we haven't announced it yet, but I think the day after Christmas, is that called Boxing Day?
It is. That's a Canadian holiday, Boxing Day, indeed.
Okay, so I think on Boxing Day, I'm gonna take over the Far Side stream. In my mind, it's gonna be like 12 to 5, but we'll see. And I'm gonna put together a whole day of programming, and it'll all be live streamed. So
hey, that's awesome, man.
yeah, so I'll try that out.
That's great.
Yeah.
Very good. No, I'm glad to hear that. Seriously, another I like the art initiative streams and the YouTubers that are comic artists and just artists in general.
Yeah.
It is really fun watching you guys draw and women and everybody and create your art, talk about your art. I love what Dave Johnson and Dan Panosian. Drink and Draw online is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's incredible. These are incredible people, and it's great to see that kind of work, and especially, my God, the drawings they do. Holy shit!
I know they kill it. Those guys kill it so hard.
So that's awesome. Now you're, in addition to doing what you normally do with your podcast and stuff, you're doing tutorials as well.
Yeah. So I started like about a year ago, well, a year and a half ago, I had kind of like freelance work had just stopped and I'd kind of just bottomed out and I found myself like out there applying back for teaching jobs. And it was a rough time because I was like, is my career over? I was like, I can't be. Like,
no,
I'm better than I've ever been. And so I did apply and started interviewing, and then I just kind of woke up from the haze and I was like, wait a minute, you've got this skill set. What are you going to do? Figure out how to monetize it. So I made all these plans in terms of what to do. I started taking commissions, and that, COVID's been great for the commissions. I'll say that. Like,
okay,
the art buying community has been so beyond supportive during these times. It's been amazing. They've all been incredible. But one of the first things I said was, why am I going to go teach for a corporation to get paid, what on their scale, instead of just owning what I'm doing? And I started to put together this idea of InkPulp instruction, and it marinated for a few months, and I realized what I want to do is I want to incorporate elements of the podcast along with elements of instruction, and it's essentially a educational entertainment show that I built. So the first episode now is up on Indiegogo, and the teaching of the episode is all about line. What is line? How to use line as applied to inking. And I wanted to dedicate the first couple years to traditional inking techniques, because I feel like this is stuff that we need to document and archive. I mean, we've got people like Klaus Janson and Walter Simonson, these legends of inking amongst us, and we should have like a video recording The Wrecking Crew. um,
They're saying you're greater than the drink and draw guys. How about that?
oh, thank you. Thank you.
Big ups, Mr. Flowers. That's
The
lovely.
Wrecking Crew. Let me pause real quick. The Wrecking Crew is. We've been doing a lot of these. It's me, Mahfood, Tommy Lee Edwards, and Troy Nixie. And
Well, that's a hell of a murderous
crew. It's a wrecking, but
it is a wrecking crew.
So we've inked Mignola, we've inked Simonson, we've inked John Buscema. I mean, we've inked Kevin Nolan.
So that's what you do on your episodes, that you will pick an artist.
Some of them. The reason I call it the InkPulp podcast was because I saw all these incarnations of it. One would be like a bunch of us all inking the same person and talking about the art of inking. One would be me alone doing a drawing and talking about it as I go as an educational thing. One would be more traditional, me one-on-one interview with someone while we draw. So I just wanted to have this broad title that let me do anything I wanted.
I get it.
So that's been fun. So InkPulp Instruction was born from that. And I wanted to document and archive all these techniques, but I feel like right now the need for traditional inkers is dwindling, but the craft of traditional inking is in a creative renaissance. So the people that are doing it are really exploring it in new and exciting ways that have never been done before. And I feel like it's like the inking middle class, the tradesmen who are hired to come in and ink. And like, I wouldn't put Walter Simonson in that class. He's a visionary inker, but more the tradesman inker. I think those jobs are disappearing more and more, but I think you do have the visionary inkers really exploding right now. So I thought it was a really good time to start recording all this and documenting all this.
I think that's great, Shawn. And honestly, so tell us why the opportunities for inkers, if that's what you're saying, are dwindling.
I think part of it is inking isn't needed anymore. I mean, if we go back to the early days of the printing press, it was black and white, and you had to have a definitive black line. Printing value in the early days was really not on the table.
I'm with you.
And then as color came in, you had the 4-color process. It was essential that you had black line work because the color had limitations. So in comes Photoshop, technology advances in printing, and now you could print pencils. And you have more and more people that are essentially penciling on the computer with a tool that's black. So I wouldn't call that inking. It's drawing and sketching, but I wouldn't call it inking necessarily. There are people doing inking on the computer that's amazing, but I just think there's less and less of that. It's more about expediency, like how fast can I get from this script to the finished artwork? And inking and penciling kind of became this nebulous thing together. So I think the need for the inker there kind of dwindles.
Because, all right, so then, like you said, they can print from the pencils and it could go right to the colorist, and there's no need. But then again, I think of yourself. I think of John Glapian is a great inker. Yeah,
Glapian's a monster.
Yeah,
I love Glapian's mark making. I think he's one of the best.
Absolutely, and that's and for I'm looking
but
at my wall.
I put John in the category of like a visionary inker. Like he's not just a tradesman. John's a brilliant artist unto himself. So I think for people like that, they're advancing the art of inking for sure.
Yeah, well, and then you get old timers like Sienkiewicz and and Tom Palmer and my guy. I had to look at my sketch to make sure I'm saying it right. Bill Reinhold, of course.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
great.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing. And also, it's funny, we're talking, and Batman Black and White is coming back in December.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I know. I'll be honest, Shawn. I was kind of hoping to see your name on the list, and I'm bummed that you're not on there, man.
John, I gotta tell you, I don't even get emails returned these days. I don't know what happened, but I would love to do a Batman Black.
God, man, that's really. I'm sorry to hear that, man. Because again,
okay. I mean, it's you know what? It's forced me to go down a path that I probably should have gone down a long time ago.
would you, if the opportunities came up to do books, would you accept those still?
Yeah, I'd probably be a lot more discriminatory than I had been, because honestly, I had reached a point where, like, I'd say, a lot of the work I did in the last few years of when I was freelancing wasn't terribly exciting, and it felt like a job, and I wasn't enjoying it. But
Okay.
Batman Black and White, I would jump at, of course.
All right, and then also in the era of creator owned.
Well, that's what I want to do. Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, Shawn. So are you looking for a writer partner that you can come up with an idea? Do you have ideas that you'd like to explore from?
I have actually minored in creative writing in college, and one of my early published jobs, I wrote a short story and drew it for Heavy Metal.
Great. Okay.
So I'm open to working with writers too.
But if you want to do your own thing,
I want either
incredible.
one. I'm open to either. Just like what I'm doing right now with the project with like the Far Side group, and then I have we have Dell is another rapper, Dell the Funky Homo Sapien, joined up on that project, and so that is involving a lot of artwork. It's a really exciting project. And then I'm going to do this thing with Killer Mike, and that's going to involve
Killer Mike I know and love. There you go.
Good. So I'm working with Killer Mike too on another project.
Wow.
That will have a comic element to it. So,
well, when that's ready, Shawn, I'd love to talk to you and Mike about it. That'd be amazing.
Of course, definitely.
So
I've got these exciting things that have opened up.
That's great. Yeah. Can I totally be like an old man and say truly my limited appreciation of hip hop and rap comes from watching Chappelle and all those amazing guests that he would have on.
Well,
and it's like
good source.
Yeah, and truly I'm just like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay, that's cool. That's certainly cool. He's certainly curated an amazing, killer list of artists and stuff. So
yeah, Chappelle's got taste. Yeah.
Again, old man.
I'm an old man too, so I'm right there.
But that's awesome, man. And also, that's terrific. God, it reminds me of guys like Matt Rosenberg, who also, did his little, things over the years with hip hop groups, and also just talked to Chris Cantwell and everything he did with Wu-Tang and everything.
Oh, right. Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, no, that's great to hear. And Fortune Wesson, everybody.
Yeah, I got that.
There you go. That's beautiful, man.
That's a big one. So basically I'm working with, for those who don't know hip hop but know the Gorillas, I'm working with Clint Eastwood and Dirty Harry.
Okay, again, I would love to talk to the guy because I'm a massive Gorillas fan. That's fantastic to hear.
So that's where you'd know the people I'm working with are on those songs.
That's wonderful, man. That's wonderful. Yeah. And then again, I'm really glad to hear that, Shawn, because you're too good to sit on the sidelines. And I'm glad you are figuring out how to take your skills, monetize them, and because they are great skills, and people.
Thank you.
Absolutely, man. Well, Jesus, I want to share the screen, and I all I did was just Google your art, and I want to show some people some great examples of. I'm assuming some of these are commissions, but here, let's do this.
Sure, I'll tell you what they are.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here they go, and we're sharing. So that's an awesome Batman right there.
Yeah, that was for Tim Townsend, actually. That's an old commission I did for Tim.
Outstanding. Here, Nick Fury, hilarious.
That I did on Drink and Draw with Dan and Dave and Jeff.
Oh, that's great.
Back in March, I think.
Excellent. More Batman here.
Yeah, that's a sketch cover.
Sure. I love this Inspector Gadget. That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, that's so old. That's good.
But that's the thing, man. I mean, Jesus, these are amazing.
Oh yeah, that's from my Juggernaut book. That was the last job I did for Marvel.
Wow. Now, how long ago was that?
That came out 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, came out 2 years ago. Yeah.
Jeez, man. Look at this stuff. This is great.
Yeah, those are my Arkham Manor covers. I've gotten into painting a lot. If you go to my Instagram, see paintings.
Ooh, let's do that. That's a much better idea.
Because that's something I've really been enjoying doing through COVID, was learning and getting comfortable with painting. That's been a lot of fun. And a lot of my podcasts, I'll work on a painting through several episodes, so you can see me working through the different stages of it. So that's been fun. But yeah, I mean, it's funny what you were just saying, how I figured out like how to survive in all this. But I mean, I taught for almost 15 years, I think, taught college art. I started the sequential art program at SCAD Atlanta with my good friend Pat Quinn and taught there for about a decade. And so that's what made me think like InkPulp instruction was something I could really do. I was very comfortable in that position teaching. And a lot of my students are working for Marvel and DC these days. So I figured
that's
this
outstanding.
way. It's going to be a lot cheaper than art school.
There you go, man. All right, this is great. All right, I'm on your
my Instagram.
Your Instagram, yes, indeed. I hit leave studio instead of share the other time. That's why I popped out for a second.
Oh, okay.
But you carried the ball, so you did good. All right, so there we go, man. I mean, you got.
Yeah, I've been putting up some old covers lately with all the processes, so you can see the thumbnails if you scroll through them and colors and all that jazz.
Very nice. Ah, Hoy Comics.
Yeah,
I love those guys.
I did some. I've done these spot illustrations for them, and I did a few short stories like a couple years ago for them. It was a lot of fun. They're a great company to work for, and
that's great to hear. And honestly, I'm talking to Mark Russell about one of his the Billionaire Island, I believe. Yeah. So we're talking on Wednesday on a Word Balloon Live. So that's the next live.
That's cool.
Absolutely.
Those are drawings. So a lot of those drawings I ink on the first episode of InkPulp Instruction, teaching you there's different lessons for each one of those drawings that's up there.
Oh, okay.
So
outstanding. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's see. There's you.
Here's a Batman painting from beginning to end.
Outstanding.
Quick little watercolor.
Absolutely. I've seen Reinhold do the same thing on a sped up video like this. This is a great idea, man.
Yeah, I'm experimenting with everything I can with. So this one I did a minute-long version, which is what you're seeing for social media. And then I did a 10-minute long version where I recorded audio explaining everything I was doing. And that's up on my YouTube channel.
Fantastic, man. Look at that.
Experimenting with different stuff.
That's fantastic, man. Outstanding.
Thank you.
Look at that. That's beautiful. That's fun. Boom.
Yeah, it was fun to do.
That's outstanding. All right, let's move on. This is good. There it is. There's the finish.
Yeah, that's
nice. Absolutely. All right, moving on. More process.
Yeah. People, there's something about my sketches and thumbnails that I think have a lot of character to them, and a lot of people really respond to that stuff. So I thought I'd show all aspects of it.
No, man, this is a total.
Yeah, there's like a painting I did of Octobriana, Jim Rugg's book. He was on my podcast, and
of course.
Yeah, so we talked about Octobriana.
Absolutely. I had Jim on as well. I'm so bummed. I've been wanting to get Ed on, but Ed's like, I'm not ready yet to promote it, because when I'm ready to promote, I'll come on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right.
Yeah, I try to get Ed too.
That's great, man. No, that's great. And again, like you said, your shared virtual studio with Kennedy and those guys, it's great that they're on as regulars and stuff.
Yeah. It's been good.
That's awesome, man.
What about you? Tell me, like, how did COVID hit you and what you do? I mean, I noticed you were like me. You very quickly adapted and started throwing up video stuff. I mean, that's what you got to do. But some people, I mean, it's hard. COVID was a perfect storm to bring someone really down into the doldrums, and I just didn't go there. But and you didn't either. So
no, well, Shawn, I've had other professional setbacks in broadcasting, and it kind of toughened me up. And when I got let go from my radio job at the beginning of April.
Right. I remember this.
And it was, and really, I to this day, 7 months later, I don't blame any of my immediate superiors. I know it was a corporate thing. My God, ESPN just cut 300 more employees and eliminated 200 positions that were open and now are no longer. So basically, they cut 500 jobs.
Right.
And that's just the way it is in broadcasting right now. So I did that. I did the Hail Mary and then let everybody know on social media, hey, I'm okay, but if you ever thought about subscribing to Word Balloon, give it a
Right.
shot. And thank God the audience responded, the creative community responded, and I was like, all right, I've got the time now. Let me really learn video better and learn
Right.
how to do this and just make it part of the show and
Right.
also evolve. And seriously, that's really kind what you said about those openings. That last animated opening was from a buddy of mine, William Meyer, and he made that 7 years ago. And I only started using it regularly
Oh, wow.
this year because I really wasn't putting out video. I've had my video channel for 11 years. I just
Right.
never had the time to do much with it.
Right.
So
Right.
I would do little things here and there, shoot things on my phone, talk to Norton outside of Challengers Comics for 10 minutes or
Right.
a
Right.
few convention things here and there. But everybody does floor video convention stuff. And I'm
Right.
like, no, I like this.
Yeah.
That's why I love the audio so much. It's like, let's have, I mean, and because we're both this way, I love NPR. I love the idea of long form conversations. I understand the need for advertising. I advertise as well.
Of
But
course.
all that said, it's better just to have a naked conversation. And I think you
Sure.
can get into real interesting areas. So with the time, I talked to my buddies that are YouTubers, like Rob Meyer Burnett, a good friend of mine who's a big Star Trek guy and pop culture guy, also a film and television editor as well as a film director. And I'm like, what do you use for your streaming? He's like, oh, StreamYard. StreamYard's amazing.
That's the one.
And so I used it because the other ones were a little too techy for me to wrap my head around.
Right. Right.
And this is great. And the chat is simple. It's easy to
Right.
bring up images as we were doing with your art through Instagram.
Right.
And I think this is great. And of course, for the last 15 years, I've been doing audio. It is a visual medium. So it might benefit to actually show the pretty pictures that you guys make. So yeah, man. I mean, that's so much like you said. I adapted, and I've got to say that it's only helped me grow the podcast into what I want it to be. And then these mainframe guys who started putting on online shows in the spring, just because they were fans that were bummed that we didn't have live conventions. And they're like, wait a minute, how about it? I mean, with streaming, how hard would it be to gather a bunch of creative people and put on a show? So they did their first one in May. They did a second one in June. They asked me to join them in August.
Oh, wow.
And then just last month we did Baltimore.
Nice. Yeah.
It's been fun, and it's been again thinking beyond the Zoom or StreamYard chat of boxes. What else can we do?
Right.
So we played game shows. We did trivia. We did the table reads with Kingdom Come and the full Justice League cast. And it's like, all right, now we're doing interesting things.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm honest, I bought so much equipment like in the early days of COVID. Cause like every show, the quality would get better. I got a better camera, I got better lights, I got good mics. And then I had all this equipment and I was like, oh, now I can actually make that InkPulp instruction happen because I've got cameras, I've got mics, I've got all this stuff. So it all kind of fell into place. So when you say subscribers, what does that mean exactly? You're not just talking about your YouTube channel?
Well, actually, both. I mean, the numbers at Audio Word Balloon increased, but I noticed that the subscribers of YouTube, for a lot of them, are a separate audience from my audio audience.
I think so,
and that's exciting because I mean, and it was very. A lot of the newcomers were incredibly kind, and they're like, "Oh man, you only got like 80 views on that video." God, you're talking to Dave Gibbons. That should get a ton more. And it's like, everything's fine. I'm like 250,000 podcasts or audio per month. I'm like, we're doing fine. We got the lights on. Everything's good, man. Don't worry. I want to acknowledge a question that Mr. Flowers had for you.
Okay.
What's in store for InkPulp Instruction? Name drop future guests, possibly, if you're willing.
Yeah, of course. So I filmed the first episode with myself. And then I filmed an episode with Tommy Lee Edwards. I filmed an episode with Eric Canetti. I filmed one with Mahfood.
Great.
I am going to film one with Jeff DeCal next month. And Klaus wants to do one. So that's the next thing I got to figure out is doing one with Klaus. But with the guest artists I have, it gives me the chance to bring in my interview stuff. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to show everyone inside the artist studio. I wanted them to see like what their environment was, whoever the guest is of the time. I also want you to see aspects of their life. I'm trying to give a portrait of the artist beyond just the lesson and kind of try to tie in a theme. So, and just how their everyday life informs their art and how it's all kind of united. So with each episode, I've kind of found unique roads to travel down as we're filming of what to record. And so like with Jim, like I know Jim, I visited him before a few times in Portland, but he wakes up, he goes to his local coffee shop, he does a little life drawing, has his coffee, then he goes home and gets to work. So I was like, let's record that first. So we had all these cameras set up outside the coffee shop and at an outdoor table, and he's drawing, we're drinking our coffee, and I'm interviewing him like I normally would on InkPulp Audio. And then, later in the day, we're in his studio and he's inking an entire piece from beginning to end.
That's awesome. So were you guys masked up and everything, or proper social distance or whatever?
Yeah. So the coffee thing was
or pre-COVID.
No. It was COVID. This was just like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
So the coffee shop, you wear a mask when you go in. Everyone's distance, and then when we got outside, we had our own table and no one around us, so we didn't have masks on for that.
I was just curious. I'm not judging.
No, I'm just saying. I was staying with Jim. I was staying with him there.
Oh, I understand. I've got friends that I'm okay with visiting, and we don't mask the entire time that we're together and stuff. Right. And we certainly big enough houses that we could social distance and be okay.
Right, exactly.
So I get it. No, that's cool.
It was a lot of masks on here, not here, but for the episode. Yeah, for the episode, there's no masks. I don't think we did anything that required a mask. It was in his house and at the coffee shop.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot of post-production in terms of having, other segments and stuff and kind of putting it all together.
A lot of editing. So Alan, who does all my podcast stuff, he's my partner in this. He does all the videography. He does all the editing. And it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, just the shoots, like keeping track of all the video cards, and like it takes hours just to dump footage from one thing to the other. It's crazy.
No, and I flirt with thoughts of that, both audio and video. I don't know. At the end of the day, I still like doing what I do, and it's like I trust in the conversation that it will be compelling enough to hold the episode. And well, and honestly, man, that's the thing. I appreciate you saying that, but after 15 years, I'm able to say, it seems to be working. So,
exactly.
and but also really learning the video side, not just the mechanics of making the show, but also the analytics of YouTube and the vagrancies in that area. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's still very. I mean, again, I've only been doing this for 7 months. So I'm still very much learning on the video side.
Oh, I'm still learning.
Yeah. How long are your episodes normally now?
They're about the same as InkPulp Audio, anywhere from like an hour and a half to 2.5 hours, I'd say. I have some shorter. One thing I've learned is like YouTube has this, like their algorithm has this sweet spot for 10-minute episodes. So like that Batman video you saw, the 10-minute version of that, I'm playing with those, but like my episodes come out every Friday on my YouTube channel and every Wednesday on the Far Side's channel. So my longer episodes are numbered, and that's where they'll be. But my shorter episodes, I'll just throw up on like a Monday and just see how they perform.
Well, and it's funny. I keep saying it, and unfortunately, I keep getting busy with conventions and stuff. But I'm not complaining because they're providing a lot of content and they're fun, and they're still different kind of programming. But I keep meaning to take highlights of my stuff and making micro content, as you're saying.
I need to do the same thing. It's on my list. Because if you can, like what I found, like that 10-minute sweet spot, we can easily go through our archive and find 10 minutes of some really interesting stuff. and then put that up and then say for the full episode, go to here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, and that's the way to promote on the various platforms.
Right.
And even, I mean, again, I mean, it's bookmarked to make a TikTok promo that will drive people to the YouTube site or the audio.
Right.
And yeah, and again, like you said, I mean, that's the thing. I certainly in these 7 months, beyond my usual suspects, being able to call on them. No, it's like, hey, Rob Liefeld, we haven't talked in a couple of years. Let's talk.
Right.
Dave Gibbons has been on
that's awesome
twice, within the calendar year, and sweetheart guy. Great to talk to Mark Miller, and Jeff Johns.
Yeah,
it had been 10 years since Jeff Johns has been on, and he's done a couple things already. So yeah, man. I mean, no, like you say, and like an idiot, I missed the window. Johns, one of our talks, he did a great 5 or 10 minutes just about 3 Jokers. And what he wanted to do with 3 Jokers and everything. And like a fool, I never used the micro. I mean, I had the full interview, both video and audio. They performed great. But again, maybe I'd draw more people if they knew about this stuff. Right. So, no.
Yeah, I'm not being hard on myself. It's all a learning in progress. One thing I found for me, I used to be of this mindset, make it perfect and then put it out. And I realized I was never getting anything done. So I was like, just start putting it out and it'll get better as you go. And it has.
Yep. 10,000. It's like Malcolm Gladwell says, you need your 10,000 hours. And that's the truth. And I mean, I know that for broadcasting. I mean, I really went from not too far from, as we all make fun of, the Chris Farley show. Remember when you did that thing? That was awesome. To really feeling like in my last years of sports talk radio, after doing it for 15 years, incredibly comfortable on the air. And thank God, right around that time was when I started Word Balloon. So I really felt ready to do long form interviews. My intent with Word Balloon was, all right, maybe this will help me get the next broadcast job. And it became its own thing. Yeah. And just like you were teaching a couple months ago, one of the other, I was working for CBS Radio here in Chicago. Right. And the iHeart media stations, the iHeart radio stations in town were going to do the same kind of news reporting I was doing at BBM, traffic reporting, live traffic reporting. And I'm like, I mean, I've certainly been doing that for the last 4 years. I have enough experience. I'm known in Chicago radio. And I'm like, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to work for somebody and do a bullshit radio job that I didn't hate? I enjoyed it. And I really was expecting a very boring job. I always break into Howard Sprague from Andy Griffith, like, oh, actually, traffic reporting is a lot more interesting than you realize. And it is, because it's live news. So it was interesting. Sure. And we were on our seats, because sometimes, hey, I semi-jackknifed and now you're stuck in traffic. Here's why. So I really did feel like Clark Kent from a traffic standpoint. So I was very satisfied. Right. But it's not what I got into radio to do. I got into radio to do what we do here. Yeah. And it's like, well, you're already doing it and you're making money. And you're making enough money. I'm not a millionaire or anything, but I am able to pay my bills. I am able to pay my taxes. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate my sponsors and my subscribers. And when I say subscribers in that respect, I've got my Patreon page. Okay. So I've got monthly subscribers.
That's great. Yeah, because that's one thing I like. InkPulp Instruction is my attempt at creating a stream of income. And then the podcast I saw is an avenue for driving traffic there and in all the areas where, because I haven't figured out how to monetize the podcast itself yet.
Okay.
Well, but I know with YouTube there's opportunities, so I'm trying to grow to get there as well.
Do you have 1,000 subscribers yet?
No, I'm almost at 700.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fine. And again, here, should we put up a URL for your GoFundMe, your Indiegogo, or your GoFundMe?
Yeah, let me. I'll send you all my.
Put it in the private chat, and I'll copy it, and then we'll create a banner, and we'll let people know where to send them and stuff. But yeah, man. No, I get it, and that's fine. And again, the great thing is you got great content, and it's just a matter of patience, and people will come. But also learning. I mean, I have to make more time of this. I'm telling you as much as I'm telling myself. Honestly, there are great tutorials on YouTube on how to build your audience and stuff.
Oh, I gotta watch that. Yeah, I've been listening to some audiobooks about that subject matter too. And it's work, and it's like a job. I mean, I treat my social media like a job now every day.
Totally, man. Here, I'm gonna copy this and make a banner of it,
Awesome.
and boom, and there it is. Okay, and this is long, kids, but there it is. And I think if you go to Indiegogo.com and you look up InkPulp hash instruction, you will likely get to the thing as well, along with the
I would
long.
imagine. Yeah, I would imagine.
Here, and I'll even here, folks. I'll take it off the ticker because you're probably like, "Hey, wait a minute, I can't read it." So here we'll do that, and then we'll show it this way. All right, there it is. Let's leave that up for.
Oh, great, great. And then I'm gonna send you, John, also just for you to look at my YouTube channel, because
please, buddy, and yeah, we'll put that up as well.
I've put a lot of work into creating like a unified brand look to everything I'm doing now.
I kind of assumed as much. All right, there it is in the chat. Fantastic. Okay, there we go. I'm opening it up, and I will share in a moment, everybody. There he is. Boom.
Yep, there it is.
Outstanding. There you go, man.
Well, I've created playlists. I mean, I'm getting to know YouTube a bit. At first, it was a little challenging, but I'm getting a feel for it now.
Oh, buddy, I hear again. You've described my most recent 7 months of trying to figure all this out.
That's exactly what I've been doing too.
So yeah, no, it's great, man. And as always, I always give the analogy of car people, and it's like, hey, man, you bring your funny car, I'll bring my funny car. We'll open up the hoods,
yes,
we'll compare engines. Yes. You know that. I mean, we've been saying that to each other for years.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, buddy. Honestly, and I'm really glad you're in this sphere. It obviously fits for what you're doing, and also your tutorials that you're proposing.
Yeah.
So yeah, learn from one of the best, everybody, and that's Shawn Crystal. And
thank you.
Go to this Indiegogo campaign and help them out in that respect. And honestly, especially aspiring artists, that's great. Have you ever done any seminars through people like Andy Schmidt's comic experience? I don't know if he's ever approached you. A guy like that.
He's never approached me about that. I mean, just I did some guest lecturing, like when I was a teacher at SCAD and I was working for Marvel. I did like get flown to school sometimes to give lectures to art students. I did workshops at conventions on panels and stuff before, and this was kind of like me, like kind of taking charge of all that. And when conventions come back, I want to bring InkPulp instruction to the panel. Like, let's get the inkers in the room together. Let's talk shop.
I think that's great, man.
Yeah. That's my, yeah, I got plans for this for sure.
And obviously during COVID, obviously that has changed the conversation interview side of your shows. But by the same token, I'm wondering if you were doing the same thing. It was really more of, okay, how are you channeling your creativity during this time?
Yeah, that's exactly.
And I mean, by all means, if there were people that were bummed, I gave them that opening to talk about. Yeah, actually, it is really tough to motivate myself to create right now.
Right.
But I'd have to say, for 90% of them, it was no.
No, it wasn't. It was not tough for me. It was like, I don't know, it was like a dose of reality, like figure this out, get creative. And because I was talking to artists and friends more than I ever have, I was creating more and I felt better. It was like the community was healing to have those conversations. If I had just sat in the studio alone that time, I would have, then I would have had trouble, but
I understand.
It also wasn't an option. I had to, I didn't have work before COVID hit. So I was like, all right, I really got to figure this out now.
I get it, man. Well, good.
My income was it hit at the end of February. I had money in the account to get me through March, and I knew I was going to hit like Emerald City and the show in Kentucky, and those were going to get me money through the summer. So that just went away, and it was like, all right, don't get upset and like figure it out. So that's all I did. I just was like, all right, let me figure this out.
Outstanding, man. That's great to hear. That's great. Really excited about these hip hop relationships that you've set up as well.
Been a dream.
And
Funny, when I hit that bottom and I came up with InkPulp Instruction, the other thing I said I wanted to do is I said I want to work with, I wanted to work with in comics people whose work I really like and people who I really enjoy. I was like, I got into this business for that and I got away from that. And I said, I also really want to work with artists who I love, and not just visual, but these rap artists. And I didn't do anything but think that. And 2 days later, the Far Side emailed me and Killer Mike called me the next day. And it was like, all right, this is life's path. Let me go.
That's amazing, man. And it is when it's in the ether and it's not something that you are through other than thinking about it.
Yeah.
And thank God these like-minded people. How did they find you? Did you ask them how they found you?
Well, the Far Side, I met, remember the hip hop variants Marvel did? Well, when the Marvel approached me, they gave me a choice of a few covers, and the Far Side's first album was in there, which is one of my all-time favorite albums. And the original cover is one of the best, if not the best drawn hip hop cover ever made. Like there's a lot of hand-drawn hip-hop covers that are very amateurish. This is extremely skilled cartooning. So I jumped at that. And so when that came out, they saw it and they DM'd me and they were all excited about it. I was so excited to hear from them. And then a few months later, they're like, hey, we have an idea we want to run by you. I was like, whenever you want, I'm here to talk. And then every few months they'd be like, we're working on it. And then when COVID hit, it was like, hey, we're ready to move on this. It was actually right before COVID. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So we had kind of been in touch through the years. The Killer Mike thing came. This was way before like Run the Jewels or Killer Mike was on the national stage. They were still very much an underground band. And in my Illuminati run in the first issue, I was asked what New York team would I like to work with, and I was like, Heroes for Hire. It's like that's all I want to do at Marvel's. Draw Iron Fist and Luke Cage.
That's outstanding.
So I put Luke Cage in a Run the Jewels shirt. No one had heard of Run the Jewels, so it got through. And so when they saw that, Killer Mike DM'd me, and I was like, I'm in Atlanta. And he was like, here's my number, call me. And then like he invited me to come down, and we hung out at his buddy's house one night. And then he invited me to this solo show he was doing the next night.
Wow.
Stage. So we were on the tour bus together and we became friends.
That's amazing.
So like we had a signing for my Juggernaut book at his barbershop that he owns.
Oh, that's terrific.
Yeah. So we've done some things over the years, and he kept saying, I have something I'm working on. And then he finally was like, he called me and he's like, here's what I want to do. And I want you to be the visual vision of this whole thing. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay.
That's amazing, man. Well, and I know, again, this is going to sound so middle-aged white guy, but I love the fact that hip-hop does kind of create these personas for the performers. And I think that's a wonderful, you can tell I'm being incredibly dad voice right now. I think that's a wonderful opportunity for them to exploit these characters in mediums beyond their music.
Yeah.
But it's true. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's one of the things I've explored in the podcast where I've had hip hop artists on is, and one of the thoughts I had in my head when I first thought I wanted to do that sort of stuff was, hip hop has been rhyming about comics since the inception of hip hop. And I know a ton of comic book artists who love hip hop. And I know a ton of fans who dance in both pools. And I was like, they've crossed paths here and there, but they haven't been married yet. And it's a marriage that needed to happen. So I was like, I want to be a part of that.
That's fantastic, man. It's like wrestling in comics in a very different way.
Exactly.
But yeah, you're right, man. It's absolutely true. And again, it's fantastic that these opportunities are happening for both the bands and artists like yourself. I mean, that's That's wonderful. And you're right. It's well, and again, sorry, man, two white guys talking about this, but I kind of got I will, and again, these are my words. These are not Shawn's words. I was a little disappointed by some of the reactions to the hip hop covers for Marvel that there was a claim of cultural appropriation.
You know what, the hip hop,
and that really pissed me off. Go ahead.
It pissed me off till I saw the hip hop community embraced it. I mean, the hip hop
embrace the white artists that were doing it.
Yeah, they loved all the covers. I mean, a lot of those hip hop artists grew up loving these Marvel books, and now their album covers on. I mean, I did The Far Side and had a great time with them. I did Jean Grey. She's a rapper. And I did like the Jean Grey Phoenix #1 on her album. Then me and Jean Grey had a signing in New York together.
That's awesome.
The hip hop community went nuts. We had the biggest signing at New York Comic Con where we had hip hop artists and the artists all in the line for like signing these things. It was amazing.
Well, again, hip hop is made for the general public, and I just like every music is made, and it's like. Again, you'll forgive me, middle-aged white guy saying this. It's like I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and it was wonderful to see the hip hop community get excited about the artists, rather than take a shitty attitude of, hey, you're taking our shit. That's not cool,
right?
It's like
it was obviously a level of respect. I mean, amongst the art communities. We were all like, well, who got that cover? And who got that cover? Like, oh shit, that's my favorite album. How'd you get that cover? And I mean, it was done with love. I mean, Sanford, me, Mike Del Mundo, Wando, Jeff DeCal. I mean, we all love hip hop. And Kari. So and Karan, like to get to do this for us was like, we grew up listening to the Wu-Tang rap about Marvel Comics. Now we're doing a Wu-Tang cover on a Marvel comic. Now the Wu-Tang's talking to me because I did that. Like, it was awesome. It was beautiful.
No, I understand, man. And honestly, last time I had a solo talk with Axel Alonso, I'm like, I got why you did it. I think it's great. I'm glad that the hip hop community appreciated what you did. And you're right. Hey, man, it's no different. And again, here's my old man thing. But really, I'm a voracious reader. I'm very interested in pop culture history. And Gary Glidden, I believe, the jazz critic, has been doing this amazing biography of Bing Crosby. And all the black jazz performers appreciated Bing Crosby.
Oh, awesome.
Because they were all in the same business. And also, Bing did solids for guys like Louis Armstrong and like stood firm and like, hey, Louis in my music short, whether you like it or not. And I don't really care if the South doesn't want to see this. This guy's a genius, and he's my friend. Period. And I mean, that's the thing, man. And again, it's like, no, man, they just appreciated good, talented artists. That's what's happening now.
Yeah, and I'll tell you another really cool thing about, like, especially with the Far Side is COVID hit us as we were getting started. So I lost my conventions. They lost their concerts. So their money disappeared too. So, like, navigating these waters together and building something together creatively has been incredible.
I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Bunyan Snipe is saying here, the hip hop community is an important part of the cultural landscape with a great love for the geek culture as a whole. 100%.
Absolutely. And that's what everything I'm doing right now is built on that idea for sure.
That's great to hear. I know Mafood has been part of that for a long time too.
Yeah, for sure.
So no, that's great to hear, man. Well, let's check in when you need to.
Definitely.
And do a new talk soon. But it's great to have you on today. And again, folks, Indiegogo projects, if you search for InkPulp dash instruction, you will find episode 1 there, the campaign for it.
Yeah.
And, back Shawn, especially if you're an aspiring artist.
Thank you. Yeah. And one thing I do want to say is these episodes right now are only going to be on the crowdfund. I have a long-term plan to launch a site where all the episodes will be. But right now, in order to build brand awareness, I thought crowdfunding was a good avenue. So when mine's gone, then we're going to probably do Eric's next. So if you want to get mine, get it now.
So is it What's the rate to be able to get access to the episode?
So if you just want a downloadable version, it's $20.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So and then I have a thumb drive version that I'll mail to you. I think that one was $40, and then I have some with some merch, like a InkPulp instruction pin, a little package you can get. But you can get a download for $20 or a thumb drive for like $40.
And how long is the lesson?
Long. My lesson is it's just about done being edited. It's gonna be between 3.5 and 4 hours.
See, that's great, man. I mean, that's the thing. Look, it is a lesson. It's a tutorial.
Yeah.
It should be that long. That's
You're
terrific.
Right. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's very thorough. Very thorough.
Well, there you go, aspiring comic artists. I mean, again, you can't find a better example of a guy to learn from than Shawn Crystal. I think that's terrific, man.
Thanks, John.
Absolutely. Listen, as always, great to see you.
You too.
Hang out for a second. I want to ask you something off the air.
For sure.
But, as always, man, great to see you. Always happy to talk shop.
Absolutely.
And congratulations on figuring out this weird time.
Thank you too. It's been great. I felt a silent kinship with you this whole time because I saw you building and I was building. I was like, we'll connect when we get through this. And so I'm glad to see you're doing exactly what you need to be doing.
100%, buddy. Right back at you.
Thanks,
all right,
man.
Be well, Shawn Crystal. Good seeing you. Shawn Crystal, everybody. How about it? So the plan this week for Word Balloon Live, I'm not sure yet about a Friday episode. I got to be honest. Of course, Thursday we'll be doing our Star Trek review and To the Outer Limits. You can count on that. Wednesday, I'll be talking to Mark Russell, and I think we'll be talking about it to him in the afternoon. I'm also still putting up great content that we had at the Baltimore Comic-Con. Please check all that out. And as always, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for listening. Stay safe, stay happy.